I wanted to share with you how the 13-week cash forecast can help you manage cash. That's exactly what it does. It's a tool. A lot of bankers use it to help borrowers understand when payments are due, how much money's coming out week to week, how much money's coming in week to week, and what's left over. And then in a debt management situation, it helps you reduce your obligations, your debt. I know in 2008, I had closed my coffee shop. I had no idea what was going on in the rest of the world. And I went to work for a local bank and started working with business owners that owed money to the bank. And a lot of times we would require the 13-week cash forecast because it helped them manage their businesses so they work themselves out of debt. And it also revealed what kind of sales they would have to generate and what kind of expenses they could afford to incur during struggling times. So at that time, when loans were secured by, say, a pool of real estate and stocks, it was considered fairly low risk because up to that point, when real estate values would go down, typically stock values would go up. So that was kind of a way to manage the value of the collateral in terms of the bank's risk in loaning money to people. And what we found in 2008, though, was that both the stock market and the real estate values went down. They plummeted. And that meant that banks had loaned money against collateral that was no longer valued at the loan amount or sometimes anywhere near the loan amount. And so banks began to call loans and force or work with borrowers to reduce debt and get back in the money, so to speak, where if your debt was $100,000 and the value of the collateral was $120,000, that might be acceptable. But if the value of the collateral had gone down to $80,000 and you owed $100 on an $80,000 value, that created some issues, some problems. So what I'm suggesting today is for those small businesses to use a big business tool, and this is called the 13-week cash forecast, to help you manage week to week your cash position so that you can continue to pay the loans that you are obligated to pay, and you can continue to run and operate your business successfully. So I want to share this spreadsheet and kind of go through that, go through this tool, and hopefully it'll be of help to you. I am going to offer a workshop to discuss this in more detail. If you want an invitation, email me at info@nitablack.com or go to my website and fill out the contact page. But let's talk about the 13-week cash forecast, because this is a great tool. And don't be afraid of the numbers. Don't be afraid to talk about the numbers. So what you want to do in the spreadsheet, first of all, is get your weeks. Like this is the week of August the 17th. I started with a date on Monday, which was yesterday. And I'm just including the work week. And all of the cells that are in green on this worksheet are input cells. So you can put, like whatever your beginning cash is. I put $5,000 beginning cash. You know, yours may be more or less. It doesn't matter. There's not any one perfect answer. And this is a guesstimate. This is sort of like on Zillow, they give you a zestimate of the value of your home. This is a guesstimate of the cash position of your business week to week for 13 weeks. And why do we pick 13 weeks is because it's a quarter, you know, it's 90 days, and it's intended to be a rolling revised worksheet. So as you move through 1 week, you would add another week on the end, or you can do that on, several weeks at a time. And then you can also use this to fill in the blank in terms of, like, next week, what we might do is fill in the actuals. Like, this is what we forecasted for this week, cash in. And then when I start this spreadsheet next week, I'll fill in the actuals and kind of eyeball how far off I was. If I was right on target, I'll celebrate and have a cup of coffee. If I'm way off target, then I've got to work harder to meet my targets. So the cash in section, the receipts, money coming into your business, this would be your core business. So list that first. So in my business, this is a good example of a service business. So my core receipts are going to be $2,000 a week for 2 weeks, $3,000 a week for 2 weeks, $4,000 for 2 weeks, $5,000. So I'm showing a pretty steady growth rate in terms of weekly receipts coming into the business. Then I have some smaller revenue products. So this might be my secondary revenue stream and my tertiary revenue stream. So secondary, I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to guess and say my goal is to hit 500 a week. And then on my tertiary, so this is something that is sort of in play, doesn't take me a lot of time to deliver, and I'm going to target $100 a week for that tertiary revenue stream. So operating inflows, cash in. So these are cash inflows from your operations. Now let's talk about cash out. Now in most businesses, you're going to have some cost associated with every sale. So I'll start out with the cost of goods sold for the 3 revenue line items that I projected up here. So on my core services, I projected cost of goods sold of 33%. And for my secondary revenue stream, 10%, and my tertiary, 10%. So that means if I have a customer who pays me $1,000 in this week, then my cost projected down here is $333. And this is a formula that you can change. Like if you're familiar with Excel, I took this cell number B9 asterisk, which means times 0.33, which is my cost of goods sold, my estimated cost per sale, times -1. So what this does in my spreadsheet is it deducts cash from my cash position. So all of this section, cash outflows, should be minus. They should have parentheses or show a minus in front of those numbers. And let's see here. So I'm going to extend these formulas on out for the 13 weeks. And as you can see, this is $50 is 10% of 500, $10 is 10% of 100. So you want to check and make sure that your formulas are working correctly. Commissions are only calculated, in my example, they're only calculated on my primary revenue stream. So here's my commission number, 20% of my core revenue. So this is 20% of this number right here. And you can see the formula B9 times 20% times -1. So again, all of these are deductions in cash or cash outflows. And then the general and administrative costs are your fixed costs, and I've just lumped those together. You can detail them out. I just know that my monthly fixed expenses are $2,000, so that's roughly $500 a week. But on the first of the month, I have a bulk of those payments to make. So I projected or forecasted $100 in the other weeks of the year, of the month, and then the $1,800 to pay out the first week of the month. And so in this example, my overhead is over a 4-week period is $2,100. So you want to try to forecast when the money actually goes out as opposed to averaging, which is what I did on another example recently that was incorrect. What you want to do is forecast when the money is actually going out of the bank. In this, so now we're getting into investing in the business. These should probably be more discretionary spend. So if I have the money, I'm going to spend it. If I don't have the money, I'm probably not going to, unless I have a way to borrow the money and be comfortable with that debt. One of the capital expenditures that I will probably have recurring is purchasing a laptop. So I'm going to purchase 2 laptops over the next 13 weeks. And then I am planning on buying a vehicle where I'll put $2,000 down, and then we'll talk about the balance that is borrowed later. Acquisitions, if I was going to acquire a business, I would put that, let's say I'm going to buy a similar firm and invest $50,000. If I have the money, then I would put that right here. Divestitures would be if I'm a larger company and I want to sell off one of my divisions or one of my subsidiaries, then I would project that sale in this line. So all of this is cash out, and it's entered as a minus number or a negative number. All right, so I put $2,000 into the purchase of the vehicle. I'm going to borrow $18,000, so I have a $20,000 loan that will show up on my balance sheet. But cash out is $2,000, cash in from the bank is $18,000. And then I'm going to start making payments on that vehicle of $550 a month. If I had a revolving line of credit, we'll talk about that on the next example. We're not going to talk about it here, but that's where that information would go, is right here. Like if I need to borrow from a line of credit. Dividends paid to shareholders. So I'm the only shareholder in my company, and my bogey is to drag $1,500 a week out of my business, which is $6,000 a month. So I'll put myself in my forecast. Be sure and do that. If I needed to put money in, this is where I would add in. If I'm going to take from my savings and put it in the business, equity infusion would be a plus $5,000 if that's the amount I would put in. But I don't think I'm going to need to do that. I want to look at my bottom cash number first. So this shows your weekly change in cash, and you'll see negative numbers here, and then it begins to turn a profit. So based on the current forecast, I'm okay in terms of net cash flow. And then this is your cash balance excluding your debt. And so this, if these numbers, if any of these numbers were negative, that would mean you would need to put money in the bank, either through a loan or from savings, or either increase your revenue or decrease your expenses. So you're always, you're really managing this bottom line cash number. And so what this projects is at the end of the quarter, I started out with 5. And so if you consider that, I'm still up $13,850, which would be an acceptable position for me. So you would need to decide how much cash you want to try to generate over that 13-week period. Here's the section we'll talk about in the next video about how to treat the revolver and how that impacts your cash flow. And what this does show you is if you have a revolver, say of $30,000 that's available, but you don't have anything borrowed against it, it takes the availability under the revolver plus your ending cash, and this is your cash availability. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you're not laying out on the couch going, oh my gosh, this is too much, too tedious, because it's really not. It's important for you to focus on weekly cash management, particularly during tight times. Even if you have cash in the bank and you're continuing to operate your business, go ahead and use a tool, something like this, or use my tool to help you manage that cash position, so that you can keep your credit score up, you can do what you say you're going to do with the bank, you can repay loans, you can borrow more money as you grow, and it makes sense. And you can also show your banker, hey, you know, this is where I'm headed. I need your input. Keep talking to your banker or your consultant to help you keep going. I hope this has been helpful. Connect with me at nitablack.com. I'll be offering a masterclass in the 13-week cash forecast soon. Take care.